Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dychronic, your host here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be showing you where the Xurs and his inventory recommended roles and all the who's and whatnot for November 15, 2019. You can find him in his regular location on Io. So just go ahead over to Io into the Giant Scar, make your way into this cave right over here, and you can find him in his regular location where hey, look at chest. I gotta get this chest. Hold on a second. You can find him in his regular location right over here inside this cave. This is a high overview of everything that he has in his inventory, just for you guys that just care about this. First and foremost, for the weapon, he has the Risk Runner submachine gun, a gun that came out with the base game that got buffed and nerfed a bunch of different times since it's released. In general, it's still a pretty good weapon because its main perk, when taking arc damage, this weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming arc damage. That's, by the way, that's 50% arc damage, so if somebody else has an arc weapon, they're doing half the damage. And kills extend the time in this overcharged state. So you can use this both in PvP if the enemy is using arc weapons for whatever reason, for whatever kind of weapon, and in PvE if you know you're going to be taking a lot of arc damage, if you're sitting in those radiolarian pools, this is going to give you a lot of resistance, and it's a pretty good submachine gun outside of that. Because on top of that, it also has superconductor. When arc conductor is active, which is this thing right here, shots fired have a chance of becoming chain lightning and returning ammo to the magazine. So overall, I'd like to say it's a good weapon, but I'm still not sure whether or not it's worth an exotic slot in a lot of different scenarios, because in PvE, oftentimes when you would need this, you'd also need a pretty powerful exotic heavy weapon as well. As for everything else about this weapon, its catalyst I think comes from either strike or random kills, and it has a lot of different ornaments that make it look a bunch of different ways, which are all kind of cool in my opinion. Moving on to the Titan exotic, we have the Mask of the Quiet One. Again, another one of those base game exotics that did get moved around a bunch of different ways, buffed and nerfed in a bunch of different ways. Basically, it grants ability energy when you're damaged, and when critically wounded, gain maximum health on kills. In my opinion, this is kind of like a mini one-eyed mask where you get the healing effect, and you also get this little ability regeneration, where the healing is obviously more like Devour from the Warlock subclass, but overall, this is a more powerful healing version of the One-Eyed Mask, and honestly, it's a bit underrated because of that. As far as the role goes, you have a primary in strength and secondary in recovery. Strength is not really something important, but it is about being critically wounded, so perhaps you're in the fight, and then recovery is something that is a big synergy for this this exotic. Oh yeah, and I forgot, it actually does have an ornament to make him look a little bit more goblin-like. Not the Destiny Goblin, but like the Goblin Goblin. Moving on to the Warlock exotic, we have the Skull of Direarm. Kara used to be absolutely tearing it up before 2 seasons ago or something. Basically, provides additional damage resistance using Nova Bomb, and Nova Bomb kills grant super energy. This used to be the thing where you use a Nova Bomb, get like 4 kills, one of them being yellow health, and you'd get your full entire Nova Bomb back. And this used to be really fun, and ever since they buffed Nova Bomb to do a lot more damage, this thing has been a lot more popular. Now since then, they have actually reduced the effectiveness to have diminishing returns with each one of the kills, and killing like 8 people may give you a little bit more than half your super, but that being said, you still get super energy, and I still like this exotic, and you should definitely still use it. On top of that, the ornament does look pretty cool. It's a nice black version with extra spikes, and it just looks cooler. As far as the stats go, you have a primary in discipline, which is not a big synergy. Mostly you'd want a primary in intellect, and that's pretty low, but still a pretty good role. Having this much discipline followed up by this much recovery is always nice, and then having mobility is, I guess, okay, but it's a really weird role for sure. And then lastly, the Ophidius Spathe, the Hunter exotic. It grants 2 knives per charge, which does not mean you get to throw 2 knives in a single charge. It means you get 2 charges of your knife throwing melee attack. Overall, this exotic is kind of poor. There's too many exotics in the game that do something like this that are just better than this. For example, the Armamentarium gives you an extra grenade charge. In my opinion, is better. However, obviously there are bonuses to the knife charges. Perhaps you get certain damage bonuses or damage bonuses to the target, but overall, I would say an extra grenade charge is always more valuable than an extra melee charge, on top of the fact that there are exotics like Hallowfire Heart that give you your grenades 2 to 4 times faster anyways. So exotics like this, they need to be changed in a certain way that encourage you to use it in a certain way. Perhaps if we got like a damage bonus for landing crit hits or something with this, it might be nice, but overall it's very poor. As far as the synergy goes with the stats, big synergy here with the strength. It's always good to have a lot of strength for something that requires strength, and then good mobility is just nice to have for hunters and all that whatnot. So a pretty good synergy for a very below average exotic that has an ornament that I don't have. Outside of that, make sure you're picking up your 5 of Swords for higher scoring Nightfalls. You can actually choose what you have on these Nightfalls. And of course, the Invitation of the 9, guaranteeing you a tier 2 powerful reward. Once you finish it, you can claim it on the next time the Xur comes around. And finally, Faded Engram, guaranteeing you a world drop exotic from year 1 or year 2 that you do not have. And that is pretty much it. That's going to be the Xur today. I swear to God, I thought both of these guys were wearing the same mask, but this reminds me of an upcoming nerf to the One-Eyed Mask, and of course the Recluse, which is in my hands. I really wish I had the Xenophage as my heavy right now. That would have been the perfect synergy. But that's it. That's the end of the Xur. That is it. If you had any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Of course, my name has been Dychronic. You're here on this Destiny video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.